What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined once again by Daniel Starkand. We broke down Game 3. We're here to last night. We're here to preview Game 4 for you this morning. Daniel, you slept on Walker Buehler's 4 shutout innings, the 8 runs the offense provided, Ohtani's home run, Kike's home run, Muncie's home run. I'm curious, before we get into Yamamoto and Quintana, was there anything that jumps out to you the morning after what we saw last night?
I wouldn't say anything in particular. Like, it was just a fun game overall.
Yeah.
I will say though, like, if you like, similar to how game 1 and game 2 went, like if you go out and lay an egg today, then last night doesn't really mean a whole lot. So I do think today is a huge opportunity to really take hold of this series. Take a 3-1 lead, which not many teams have come back from. So fun night last night, but I do think it's time to turn the page to today now.
Yeah, and you say 3-1. The 2020 Dodgers were one of those
Yes.
teams that came
Yes.
back from the NLCS. So this thing is not over until it's over. Let's talk pitching though. Yamamoto on the mound for the Dodgers, Quintana for the Mets. Obviously, we're a Dodgers show. It seems like the answer is obvious. But which of these two guys are you more interested in, intrigued by, or who are you going to be watching more closely as far as the key to tonight's game?
I know this is a bit of a cop out, but I do think it's both of them, honestly, just because they're both, like, the variance for both of them is pretty high, honestly. Like, we
Yeah.
could start with Yamamoto. Obviously, we've seen it in this playoffs already. One not so great start, and then one exceptional start in the second game against the Padres. But I do think what we saw from him in that game 5, like if he could just kind of replicate that, like he'll be in a great position. We know how great the stuff is. A lot of it just comes down to how well he's commanding it. Like, is he in the zone? And if he is, I think he's going to have a lot of success against this Mets lineup. Like, I do think against the Padres, like we talked about this last night, they had a lot of killers in that lineup.
Yeah.
Like Yamamoto, that whole pitching staff knew, like, we have to be perfect with our pitches to get these guys out. And I don't think that's quite the case, with this Mets lineup. Famous last words, of course, but I don't think you need to be as perfect to get these guys out. So, like, we saw Walker Buehler last night. Like, he was trying to be perfect, and his, he was throwing a lot of balls because of it. Like, pitches slightly off the plate and whatnot. Like, I would love to see Yamamoto just go out there and attack the zone. Like, if they hit it, like, so be it. You could adjust from there, but I don't want to see him walk in the 8 and 9 hitters to get to Lindor, because we know, like, Lindor and Vientos, like, those are really good hitters that you should have the appropriate level of fear for. But outside of those two guys, not a whole lot in that lineup to be scared about. So let's go out and attack them. Let's be efficient. Like last outing, I think he got through 5 innings and 63 pitches, which is phenomenal. And if he's able to do something similar today, maybe he is able to pitch into that 6th inning and give them a little length.
Yeah, it's interesting. Everything you just said, I totally agree with. I think the fact that he's now seen himself do it has to take a little bit of pressure off of his shoulders, because he's kind of earned the respect because of that Game 5 performance that people are going to remember, and the Dodgers are up 2-1. So I think there's lots of reasons why he might just be more comfortable. To your point about attacking the zone, I mean, how many balls did we see die on the warning track last night that looked like home runs off the bat? And so maybe that gives him a little more confidence to say, hey, attack, because it's cold, the air is heavy, and balls aren't flying out of here necessarily in a way that we need to be afraid of. But when I think of this matchup, I think the biggest thing, I feel very similarly today about how I felt about yesterday's game 24 hours ago. And this is what I mean. Quintana is the left-handed version of Luis Severino in many ways. Not a lot of swing and miss, not a lot of strikeouts, does have a little bit more of a walk problem than Severino does. The biggest difference, he's lefty, which the Dodgers are the best team in baseball against lefties. And he actually doesn't have the high velocity fastball that Severino does. And so for all of the reasons I felt really good about how the Dodgers matched up against Severino, I feel even better about Quintana. On the flip side, Yamamoto, if you want to nitpick Game 5 against the Padres, it would sound very similar to what happened to Walker Buehler against the Padres. He had 9 2-strike counts against the Padres and only put 2 of those guys away for strikeouts. But we came on here and said, hey, the Padres were the best team in baseball at not striking out. The Mets are not that. They're league average. They strike out more than the Dodgers. And so Walker Buehler went from can't put anybody away to 18 swings and misses, a season high, and a bunch of strikeouts. I think, Daniel, we could see a repeat performance from Yamamoto where 9 2-strike counts get converted to 4, 5, 6 strikeouts instead of just 2.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I definitely think that's a good comp with Walker Buehler there. And if Yamamoto is stuff, if his stuff is playing, the way it should, yeah, he definitely should get a lot more swing and misses, which is always great in a postseason setting.
Yeah.
And I'm with you on Quintana as well. And we know, the Dodgers have had a history with him. We last night on the show, I mentioned that Kike, had the 3-homer game against the Cubs in 2017. What I failed to mention or realize until after the fact was that Quintana started that game, and he gave up 6 runs in 2 innings that game. So the Dodgers have gotten to him in the past. Obviously, that was a very long time ago. He's a different pitcher now, and we talked about it last night. He has been on a roll as of late, basically since kind of the middle of September. He's given up like 1 or no earned runs in every start, and so it is going to be a challenge for the Dodgers. They are going to have make him be in the zone, like you mentioned. He has walked a lot of guys. Like he has cut down on that a little bit in this stretch where he's pitched really well, but he still is someone who's prone to walk. So work those counts, get his pitch count up, take walks if you have to, and the key for the Dodgers, as we've seen all postseason, is let's just get Shohei to the plate with guys on base, because that's a crooked number waiting to happen. Whenever that happens.
Yeah, I didn't have the exact numbers, but since August 25th, so this is the last 8 starts that Quintana has made, including the postseason, he has an ERA of 0.57. Over 8 starts, 47 innings, so he's averaging nearly 6 innings per start over that stretch. 31 hits allowed in 47 and a third innings, 40 strikeouts. So he's been fantastic, and that's the opposite of Severino, who came in 3+ earned runs in 5 consecutive. He goes 2, but gives up 2, last night. So I just think when I look at the pitching matchup last night, Daniel, I was sitting there saying, I think pitching is a push. I think Severino and Buehler, I think this is going to be a push. And therefore I'm picking the Dodgers because I trust the bullpen and I trust the bats. I'm curious. You could make the case that the Dodgers actually have a starting pitching advantage because of Yamamoto, while at the same time, I just told you Quintana has a 0.57 ERA over his last 8 starts. So would you describe this from a starting pitching only perspective as a push, or do you think the Dodgers have the edge?
I'd probably say slight advantage Dodgers, and it's mainly because they have the better lineup. Like as far as pitchers go, I think it's a push. Like if Yamamoto was pitching to the Dodgers and Quintana was pitching to the Mets, I would say slight advantage for Quintana there. But I think the fact that Quintana has to face the better lineup gives the Dodgers a slight advantage. And then when you bring the bullpen into it, I think it's a big advantage for the Dodgers, of course. So kind of similar to yesterday, I'd say. But if you could get Yamamoto through 5 innings, with a lead, you got to feel really good if you're the Dodgers.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. That's the beauty of this whole setup of this series. If you're the Dodgers, is all you're asking your starting pitcher to do is look at the guy across from them and say, can you just match him? Because if we can get into the 6th inning and all of a sudden it's bullpen time and all of a sudden it's late, I know the Mets have scored all these runs late in the postseason, but who's been better at scoring runs late in this particular series?
Yeah.
It's the Dodgers far and away. And as we've talked about on our show, they haven't seen Evan Phillips yet. They've only seen Blake Trinan once, and it was 8-9-1. And so the Dodgers have a lot of bullets left to fire in that bullpen matchups that the Mets haven't gotten a chance to see yet. Whereas the Dodgers have seen Diaz, they've seen Reed Garrett, and they've gotten to some of these guys as well. And so have to feel good about the Dodgers in this one. Let's close out briefly here with a prediction. I believe you have amended your series prediction to Dodgers in 5. So we know what you think the result of the game is. Do you want to throw a score at us?
I think it's going to be a pretty low scoring game today. I think, 2 good pitchers on the mound, rested bullpens, for the most part. So I'll say 4-2 Dodgers.
Okay.
I think they're able to get a couple early runs on Quintana. I do think Yamamoto will give up a run or 2. I think last night I predicted, 5 innings, 1 run. So I'll stick with that. Yeah. And then I think, the Dodgers tack on a couple insurance runs late, for the 4-1 win or 4-2, whatever I said.
4-2. I've got 5-2. I think the Dodgers offense, my hope is that it's 5 early runs and that we can kind of breathe easy and just enjoy this one. Can we get to the blowout as fast as possible, please, Dodgers? Not that 5-2 is a blowout, but maybe the bullpen gives up a couple runs late. But I think Yamamoto is going to be good. I think the Dodgers offense is going to be fine. And I'm with you. Please, please, please put a stranglehold on this series and give the Dodgers a really difficult decision about what they're going to do in Game 5, whether it's Flaherty or a bullpen game. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Give us a prediction. What's the final score of tonight's game? And of course, who's going to win? The assumption would be that you're picking the Dodgers because you're on a channel that's called Dodger Blue. Daniel's picking the Dodgers. I'm picking the Dodgers. But let us know what you think below. That is Daniel Starkand. I'm Jeff Spiegel. Live content here tonight, post game. Make sure to join Dodger Blue 1958. I believe it's Blake and Scott who will be on tonight. I might pop in. We'll see. We'll see how the night goes. But that is Daniel. I am Jeff, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, go Dodgers.